Every night in America, over 500,000 people have no place to call home. They sleep in tents, cars, shelters, or under city bridges. Some are victims of skyrocketing rents, others are battling mental health struggles or addiction, and many are simply caught in cycles of poverty they can't escape. Homelessness isn't just a statistic, it's a human crisis unfolding on the streets of our biggest and most prosperous cities. From the cold winters of Boston to the sunny boulevards of Los Angeles, the struggle is visible everywhere, and behind every encampment is a story of resilience, hardship, and survival. Today on Discover Top 10 Places, we're taking a closer look at the top 10 homeless hotspots in America, the cities where this crisis is most severe and most visible. But before we begin, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss more revealing countdowns that explore the places shaping our world. Number 10, Washington, D.C. The nation's capital often conjures images of political power and historic landmarks, but behind the monuments and marble buildings lies a homelessness crisis that is both severe and visible. The city has one of the highest homelessness rates per capita in the country, with thousands living in shelters, encampments, or entirely unsheltered on the street. Rising housing costs and a lack of affordable rental units have pushed many low-income residents out of stable housing, leaving entire families and vulnerable individuals with nowhere else to turn. Despite being a city with immense federal resources nearby, the crisis continues to grow year after year. Encampments are a common sight in D.C., often forming under overpasses, along parks, and in highly visible downtown areas. While the city has attempted to clear these encampments, they frequently reappear in nearby locations because long-term housing solutions remain scarce. Shelters provide temporary relief, but are often overcrowded and fail to meet the unique needs of those struggling with mental health conditions or addiction. Many unhoused residents report that the city's shelter system feels unsafe or overly restrictive, leading them to remain outdoors despite the harsh conditions. The problem is further complicated by deep-rooted social and economic challenges. Generational poverty, untreated mental illness, and substance abuse issues intersect with a rapidly gentrifying housing market, creating a perfect storm for homelessness in D.C. Cold winters put lives at risk, while the summer heat brings new dangers to those living outside. While there are ongoing initiatives to expand affordable housing and supportive services, the scale of the crisis continues to outpace the city's efforts, making Washington, D.C. a stark reminder that homelessness is not just an urban issue, but a national one, even in the very heart of America's political power. Number 9, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The largest city in Pennsylvania has one of the most visible and severe homelessness crises on the East Coast. Thousands of people live without stable housing, with a significant number concentrated in neighborhoods such as Kensington, which has become widely associated with poverty, addiction, and encampment. The city's affordable housing shortage, combined with generational poverty and unemployment, has left many residents unable to secure a safe and permanent home. For families and individuals already struggling, the high cost of living and limited affordable rental options often push them over the edge into homelessness. Encampments have become a prominent feature of Philadelphia's landscape, particularly in areas hardest hit by the opioid epidemic. Kensington Avenue is often cited as a focal point, where tents, makeshift shelters, and people sleeping in doorways highlight the extent of the crisis. While the city has taken steps to dismantle these encampments and offer services, many residents decline assistance due to distrust of the system or because shelter conditions don't meet their needs. Overcrowded shelters, limited privacy, and strict rules often make the streets a more appealing, though more dangerous option for many unhoused individuals. The intersection of poverty, addiction, and lack of mental health support makes Philadelphia's homelessness crisis uniquely complex. Outreach groups work tirelessly to connect individuals with recovery programs, medical care, and housing resources. But the demand far outpaces the supply. Meanwhile, residents and local businesses struggle with the visible effects of the crisis in their communities. While the city continues to invest in affordable housing and social services, Philadelphia remains one of America's most prominent hotspots for homelessness, embodying the deep-rooted challenges that affect urban centers across the nation. Number 8, Boston, Massachusetts. One of America's oldest and most prosperous cities, is also home to a homelessness crisis that has grown increasingly visible over the last decade. Rising rents and a severe shortage of affordable housing have forced thousands of individuals and families into shelters or onto the street. Boston's economic growth, fueled by its thriving education, healthcare, and tech industries, has widened the gap between those who can afford to live comfortably and those who cannot, pushing many residents into unstable living conditions. The issue is especially prominent in areas like Mass and Cass, a section of Massachusetts Avenue, and Melnia Cass Boulevard that has become ground zero for homelessness and addiction in the city. Encampments in Boston frequently appear in highly visible locations, particularly around Mass and Cass, where large clusters of tents, open drug use, and visible poverty have become a regular sight. City officials have repeatedly cleared these encampments, but without sustainable housing or treatment solutions, they quickly re-emerge. Shelters exist, but they often operate at or near full capacity, and many unhoused residents cite a lack of safety, privacy, and flexibility in shelter systems as reasons for avoiding them. This leaves many with no option but to remain outside, braving the harsh New England weather. Boston's cold winters make homelessness especially life-threatening, with sub-zero temperatures forcing people to risk frostbite, hypothermia, and even death if they cannot secure shelter. At the same time, many individuals face additional barriers, such as untreated mental illness, addiction, or unemployment, making it difficult to transition back into stable housing. While the city has invested in supportive housing programs and recovery initiatives, progress has been slow, and the demand far outweighs the resource. Boston's crisis serves as a stark reminder that homelessness is not just a problem in warm weather states, it is a national issue that persists even in wealthy, historic cities. Number 7. Seattle, Washington. Known for its booming tech industry and iconic skyline, has become one of the epicenters of homelessness in the United States. The city's rapid economic growth has driven housing prices to record highs, leaving many low-income residents priced out of the market. Today, thousands of people live without shelter, making Seattle one of the cities with the largest homeless populations in the nation. Despite billions of dollars spent on solutions over the past decade, the crisis continues to worsen, highlighting the deep disconnect between the city's wealth and the struggles of its most vulnerable residents. Encampments are a common sight across Seattle, from under interstate overpasses to public parks and even sidewalks in residential neighborhoods. Areas such as Pioneer Square and the International District often reflect visible tension between thriving businesses and the unhoused population. The city conducts regular sweeps to clear these encampments, but critics argue that these actions simply displace people rather than solve the root problems. Many unhoused individuals cite the lack of affordable housing options, limited shelter availability, and barriers to mental health or addiction services as key reasons they remain on the street. Seattle's rainy, cold climate adds another layer of hardship for those living outdoors, making survival a daily challenge. At the same time, the city is grappling with public health and safety concerns, as the spread of disease, overdoses, and unsafe living conditions put both unhoused individuals and communities at risk. Nonprofit organizations and outreach teams continue to provide food, medical care, and temporary shelter, but the demand far exceeds their capacity. While Seattle has pledged to expand affordable housing and supportive programs, the crisis has become deeply entrenched, cementing the city as one of America's most significant homelessness hotspots. Number 6. San Jose, California. The heart of Silicon Valley is a city of immense wealth and innovation, yet it also struggles with one of the largest homeless populations in the United States. Skyrocketing housing costs have made it nearly impossible for many working-class families and individuals to afford rent, even with full-time jobs. Median home prices in the area are among the highest in the nation, forcing many into unstable living situations or outright homelessness. The contrast between the world's biggest tech companies headquartered nearby and sprawling tent encampments throughout the city highlights the deep divide between prosperity and poverty. Encampments in San Jose are widespread, often found under freeways, along riverbeds, and in vacant lots. The Guadalupe River, in particular, has been a hotspot for large homeless communities, with tent cities that stretch for miles. While the city has invested in tiny home villages, safe parking programs, and supportive housing, these solutions reach only a fraction of the people in need. Efforts to clear encampments frequently result in temporary relocations, but without sufficient affordable housing, most unhoused individuals simply move to new areas, perpetuating the cycle. The crisis in San Jose is compounded by challenges such as job loss, untreated mental health issues, and limited access to addiction recovery programs. Living outdoors exposes residents to harsh conditions, from cold, damp winters to extreme summer heat, which can lead to serious health problems. Despite strong economic growth in the region, the benefits have not reached the city's most vulnerable populations, leaving thousands in precarious living situations. Unless long-term affordable housing solutions and comprehensive support services are expanded, San Jose will remain one of the most visible examples of America's homelessness crisis. Number 5, San Diego, California. Known for its beautiful beaches and sunny climate, is also home to one of the largest unsheltered homeless populations in the United States. Thousands of people live on the streets, in tents, or in makeshift shelters, scattered throughout the city. The region's high cost of living and limited affordable housing options have forced many into homelessness, while the favorable weather conditions mean that living outdoors is more feasible here than in colder cities, contributing to the city's large unsheltered population. Despite being a desirable place to live, San Diego has become a hotspot for one of the nation's most visible homelessness crises. Encampments are especially concentrated in downtown San Diego, particularly in neighborhoods like East Village and around Petco Park, where sidewalks often line with tents and personal belongings. The city regularly conducts cleanups and sweeps to remove encampments, but without adequate housing solutions, people are displaced only to return later. Shelters are available, but frequently overwhelmed, and many unhoused individuals avoid them due to concerns over safety, strict rules, or lack of privacy. Public health challenges, including outbreaks of diseases such as hepatitis A, have also been linked to unsanitary living conditions in encampments, raising alarms for both residents and city officials. San Diego has invested heavily in temporary shelters, safe sleeping sites, and supportive housing programs, but the scale of the crisis has outpaced the city's effort. Rising rents, economic inequality, and limited mental health and addiction services all contribute to the persistent growth of the homeless population. While nonprofit organizations and outreach workers continue to provide aid, thousands remain unsheltered and at risk. The contrast between San Diego's picturesque image as a coastal paradise and the reality of its homelessness crisis makes it one of the most striking examples of the issue in America. Number 4, San Francisco, California. It is one of the most well-known cities in the United States when it comes to homelessness, with the crisis highly visible across nearly every part of the city. Thousands of unhoused individuals live on the streets, in encampments, or in temporary shelters, making the issue impossible to ignore. The city's soaring housing costs, some of the highest in the nation, combined with limited affordable housing development, have left many residents unable to stay housed. Despite being a global hub for technology and innovation, San Francisco has become just as infamous for its homelessness crisis as for its Golden Gate Bridge or cable car. The Tenderloin District is often considered the epicenter of San Francisco's homelessness problem, with entire blocks lined with tents and encampments. Market Street and other busy commercial areas also reveal the visible scale of the crisis, where the unhoused live side by side with bustling businesses and heavy foot traffic. City officials regularly conduct cleanups, but without permanent housing and sufficient social services, these efforts often displace individuals without addressing the root causes. Shelters are available, yet they remain overcrowded, and many unhoused residents avoid them due to safety concerns, lack of privacy, or rigid restrictions. Complicating the issue further are widespread struggles with addiction, mental health, and poverty, which intersect with the lack of affordable housing. While San Francisco spends billions of dollars on homelessness services and housing initiatives, progress has been slow, and public frustration is mounting. The city has become a national focal point in debates over how to balance compassion, public health, and safety, with critics and advocates often clashing over solutions. San Francisco's crisis is one of the most visible in the country, serving as a stark reminder of the growing divide between wealth and poverty in America's urban centers. Number 3, Los Angeles, California. It has the largest homeless population in the United States, with tens of thousands of people living without stable housing. The city's crisis is most famously concentrated in Skid Row, a neighborhood in downtown LA that has become one of the largest homeless communities in the world. Stretching over several blocks, Skid Row is home to thousands of individuals living in tents, makeshift shelters, and transitional housing. But homelessness in Los Angeles is not confined to this area. Encampments can be found under freeways, in city parks, on sidewalks, and along Venice Beach, making the problem visible across nearly every neighborhood. The sheer scale of the crisis overwhelms the city's shelters and supportive housing systems. Despite billions of dollars being allocated to homelessness services and housing initiatives, progress has been slow, and the number of unhoused residents continues to rise. Many cite skyrocketing rents, stagnant wages, and a lack of affordable housing as the main drivers, while others struggle with untreated mental health issues and addiction. City officials frequently conduct encampment cleanups, but without long-term housing options, these efforts only displace residents rather than solve the root problem. The visibility of the crisis has led to growing frustration from both unhoused residents who feel marginalized and city residents who feel overwhelmed by the issue. Adding to the complexity is Los Angeles's mild climate, which makes outdoor living more feasible year-round compared to colder cities. This has led to a higher proportion of unsheltered homelessness, meaning many individuals live entirely outdoors without access to shelter. While nonprofits, faith-based groups, and outreach workers provide food, medical care, and temporary resources, the demand far exceeds the supply. Los Angeles remains at the center of America's homelessness debate, embodying the urgent challenges of poverty, housing inequality, and public policy. The city's struggle underscores the broader national crisis, making LA one of the most significant and symbolic hotspots of homelessness in the country. Number 2, Oakland, California, located just across the bay from San Francisco, has one of the highest homelessness rates per capita in the United States. The city's crisis has become increasingly visible in recent years, with encampments lining freeways, city parks, sidewalks, and even residential neighborhoods. Rising rents and housing shortages, driven by the Bay Area's booming economy, have displaced thousands of low and middle-income residents. Many who can no longer afford the skyrocketing housing market in Oakland and surrounding cities find themselves with no choice but to live on the streets. The scale of the encampments is striking, with large communities often forming under overpasses or in vacant lots. The Wood Street encampment, once one of the largest in Northern California, became a focal point of the crisis, housing hundreds of unhoused residents in tents, RVs, and makeshift structures before it was cleared by the city. While Oakland has experimented with sanctioned encampments and tiny home villages, these solutions serve only a fraction of the population in need. The lack of permanent affordable housing options continues to push people into unsafe and unsanitary outdoor conditions. Beyond the lack of housing, Oakland's homelessness crisis is exacerbated by systemic issues such as unemployment, generational poverty, substance abuse, and limited access to healthcare. Community organizations and nonprofits work tirelessly to provide food, medical care, and transitional housing, but the demand consistently outpaces the resources available. The tension between unhoused residents and housed communities also adds to the challenge, as city leaders face pressure to address both humanitarian concerns and public safety. Oakland's homelessness crisis highlights the deep inequality of the Bay Area, where immense wealth exists side by side with extreme poverty. Number 1, New York City. New York has the largest homeless population in the United States, with tens of thousands of people relying on shelters each night and thousands more living on the streets, in subway stations, or in public spaces. The scale of the crisis is staggering. More people experience homelessness in New York than in some entire states. The city is legally required to provide shelter to anyone in need, which has led to one of the most extensive shelter systems in the nation. Yet even with this mandate, the system is constantly overwhelmed, and many individuals remain unsheltered due to personal choice, safety concerns, or lack of available space that meets their needs. Encampments are less common in New York compared to cities like Los Angeles or San Francisco, but homelessness is still highly visible, especially in busy areas such as Midtown Manhattan, Penn Station, and major subway lines. Families, veterans, and individuals facing unemployment or evictions make up a large portion of the homeless population, while others struggle with untreated mental illness or substance abuse. The crisis became even more pronounced in recent years, which caused economic hardship and housing instability for thousands of residents. Despite ongoing efforts, including hotel conversions into shelters and supportive housing programs, the demand continues to outstrip supply. The high cost of living in New York City is a major driver of homelessness, with rent prices far exceeding the wages of low-income workers. Many households live just one paycheck away from losing their home. Meanwhile, affordable housing development lags behind demand, and long waiting lists make it nearly impossible for those in need to secure stable housing. City leaders have invested billions into addressing the crisis, but progress has been slow, and the visibility of homelessness continues to spark public debate. New York's struggle represents the magnitude of America's housing crisis, making it one of the most significant homelessness hotspots in the country. Conclusion: homelessness is more than a problem, it's a national crisis. From coast to coast, America's largest cities are struggling to provide shelter, dignity, and hope for the most vulnerable among us. Behind the statistics, are real people, families, veterans, workers, each with their own story of struggle and survival. Shining a light on these cities isn't about blame, but about awareness, because the more we understand the scope of this issue, the closer we come to finding solutions. Thank you for watching this countdown of the top 10 homeless hotspots in America. If this video moved you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to discover top 10 places, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss more eye-opening explorations into the places shaping our world. Together, awareness is the first step toward change.